All right. So today we're going to do a quick training on Trello. Hopefully we can clean it up. It's going to be kind of messy, but we'll do our best. And I just want to introduce you to Trello. And I've got Anthea here, and we're just trying to get all the stuff in my mind out, and so that you guys can understand how we work with kids in this program and why we do. So the main reason why we use Trello is we were using, this is a program, you can kind of see what a student's board looks like. Um, and so this is the kind of thing that we use with each of the kid. Each kid has a Trello board, and this is what it looks like. And it's super personalized. So we decided to use this program Trello because we were trying to use Google Classroom and some other kind of more generic things. I know that in San Marcos, I think they use Canvas, but there's a lot of different programs where we can track students' work and their assignments. The problem that we have is that every kid is doing something different. We don't have any two kids doing the same thing. Number one, they're all in different grades. They're in different schools. They have different teachers. So this is a place where we can communicate about what that student is doing. And also we're personalizing their learning because they're choosing their own work, which is kind of what makes Independent Minds super special, is that we personalize all the kids' work. So that's one of the reasons why, this program, when the kids come on, they can create their own what we call goals. And so they kind of choose their work and they decide what they want to work on, and then we approve it. And this program Trello is easy. It makes that really easy to track every kid's work, every kid's learning. So that's the reason we use this program, is because we're able to really personalize it. And the other thing is that the teachers are able to also the teachers can see what the kids are doing, the parents can see, so they can only see their student. They don't see everybody's work. So they can look at their kids and they can kind of see what they're behind on, and we can communicate with them on here too. So I can kind of show you the different boards and the different places where we keep them. In general, we have there's different workspaces, which are sort of like areas where we keep boards. The workspaces, there's basically a student workspace where we keep all the kids' boards, and then we have cool stuff that the mentors, like resources that the mentors could use. They're in the mentor boards. Okay, so that's in a mentor board. So right now we're in the student board. If you look up here, there's workspaces. You can see that there's a mentor workspace. There's also another board, another workspace for kids that are just doing reading with us. Okay. So this is kind of our three different workspaces. So this is where we keep boards. Workspaces are we keep boards. Right now we're in the student one. So you can kind of see, this is a student, Avram. You can kind of see what kind of lists he has in here. This is where we provide feedback for him. Usually you don't have to mess with this section, but we always like to try to write something nice in here. You can add a card down here. You'll just click add a card, and you can put, like, say you want to provide some feedback on that student. You can write, Avram is doing great. Okay, now the card, we can throw that up at the top so that the parents can see it. And we can, this is kind of where we communicate. We're so proud of Avram. So we might say something else like he wasn't in class. We have a section on our board, and this one I think we kind of messed with. We were kind of messing around with some of the new boards, but there's going to be like a parent communication, and I'm moving. Do you see how you can kind of move these around? So parent communication will be there, feedback, important links, goal plan check. And then there's some tasks that he's got that are specific to him. So these are all different sections of the board. Like each of these lists represents different things that we do on here. When we want to update a parent about the kid, we can just write here and they'll get a notification, which is really cool. So we can write Avram, I'm just using this as an example. Avram was not online today. And sometimes the teacher or the parent will write something in here showing that there's something that they want us to work on. So it's always a good idea when you come online to check the parent teacher updates, because they might say something, can you help him with his math or something? This is where we communicate. So we're all a team with the family, the student, the mentors, me. The reason we create this board and say that it's called student success is we're trying to create a community, and how we do that is by these boards. So the community is created around the boards. Like everybody's on here, everybody can write on here, everybody can communicate about what we're working on or what we need to work on. And we do that in this column. In this column, we have sort of a stoplight system where it's like yellow, red, green, depending on how they're doing. He's yellow in a lot of areas, meaning that he needs improvement. Green, he's doing great in class participation. He's communicating well. So this is sort of like how we grade, because we do not offer letter grades. Okay. I'm going to do as much as we can, like in one, and because there's a lot to it. Important links. These are the links that the kids need to the different folders, and to different things that they'll need online. One is, this is their teacher folder. The teacher folder is what we share with the folder that we share all of the students' work in. So when the student creates Google Docs, because everything we do is we try to upload to a Google folder. This is the folder that we have is shared with the teacher and with the parents. So again, not just like the Trello board is shared in the community, all of the pieces of the community, ourselves, mentors, teachers. When I say teachers, I'm talking about they have a teacher in addition to us. We're just the tutors, right? So they're school teachers, mentors, obviously Carmen and I, and the families. Okay. And this is kind of where they have an attendance survey. There's a goal plan checklist. This will help them figure out what they need to do. I think this is old. The goal plan checklist shouldn't be on here. So we're going to clean this up a little, but I just want to give you like an overview. If you ever need to delete a card, here we go. You can archive it, because they don't allow you to delete it. I have to delete everything. And so that's kind of like linked to the teachers folder, linked to the attendance survey. That shows that they've been online. There might be other links in here that are important that the teacher needs. There's going to usually by the end of the semester, we have quite a few different things, maybe a link to a curriculum or a video that they're watching that they need. So we just throw all important links there. And this is the goal plan checklist template. And this is how we check their goals. Okay. And there's a whole checklist about and there's a whole training on how to approve goals, which we won't do in here. But basically you can find out how to approve goals on this list, because it'll show you an example of the correct goals versus the incorrect. And then it'll give you sort of a checklist in each subject for, what to check for in that subject. Trying to see if there's see if I go like this, if I can go down. So here are the checklists down here, and it shows you what you're checking for in social studies. Like these are all the things that you're checking for. So this is a good place. Like when they've done goals, you can kind of check off all of these things to make sure that their goals are good to go. Okay. That's what that is. And then if there's special tasks, and this is where they make their goals, and we have a whole training on how to make goals. So don't worry about that yet, but this is where they make their goals in Trello. And then this is where they move their goals when they're done. So say their homework was to write an essay on Martin Luther King Jr. If they've done that after they finished it, they move it to their finished goals, right? So where is it? So this is their goals. We don't have actual goals right now to move, because we kind of already, we don't have a list for that right now. But this can be moved over here. Like say that he's done with LP7. Add my math work sample to my LP7 folder. He's done it. He can move it over here. Okay. Now you're going to notice that some of these are in Spanish. So we'll talk more about how to translate the Trello boards later. All right. And then this is for final projects that we do that later on in the semester, but it's always a good idea for the kids to start on their final projects early. And we'll talk more about that in another training too. And this is where they upload their LPs, what we call work samples. Every month, the teachers require us to give them a portfolio sample of their best work in each subject for that month. And this is where they upload that. Okay. And when you click on these, you're going to see that there's some lists. down here, you're going to see some lists to make sure that, that the font size is right. We try to clean them up and make them look really nice because we want them to be proud of their work and we want their teachers to be proud of their work too.
I gotta go to those pretty quick.
Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. So, yeah, and so that's just sort of an overview. You don't need to know every little thing about this yet. I mean, mostly I just want you to understand what this is and how we use it. It's a communication tool so that it's how we kind of create our community around these Trello boards. And this is where we communicate with the teachers and we communicate with the students and we communicate with each other and we communicate with the families. Okay. And so that's what a student board looks like. The student boards change a lot and it kind of depends on these emojis. Okay. It depends on what the kids are online for. Okay. Let me go to we have a little PowerPoint. I'm going to go to the emoji and see if I can tell you what each of those things are. What slide is that on, Anthea?
That is
Okay. So, and this helps to know there's little symbols right next to the kids. Uh, maybe I think I deleted a couple. I don't see it on there 26 anymore. Are you sure that's what it's on? 26, how to grade an assignment for the right slide. Oh, can you go to the Anthea one or do you not have that one? Oh, okay. Okay. I'll just look over. Okay. So we're just looking on. Yeah, okay. Got it. So if you look on the emojis, I'm just going to use this as an example, but and we do have a little key here, and we're going to have it posted in Trello. But the little books mean the student is using Lexia, which means they're English language learners, and they're using a program that helps them with their English. Lexia is a program that helps them with their English. They have to work on it every day. There's 3 sections. Hopefully, they're done. If they're done by Wednesday, on Thursday morning, we check it. Then we like them to be done by Thursday morning. You can don't worry about all of that. But Lexia means that a student is in a program where they're learning English, and that means you have to check. They have to make sure they're making goals in Lexia. If they have the little books there, they have to make goals in Lexia, and you have to check their Lexia to make sure that they're actually doing what they say they're going to do. So that's a really huge part of Trello too, is like checking kind of they make a goal. So when they come online, I'm jumping around a little. Anthea's going to make sense out of it. But when they come online, we're first checking the goal from yesterday to make sure they did it because we don't want to keep making goals on top of goals on top of goals that are nobody's doing anything. So you're going to check their work from the day before and their goals from the day before. And then you're going to help them make goals and you're going to approve their goals for the following day. We're going to have a whole nother training on how to approve goals. Don't worry about that yet, but we just want you to be familiar with Trello. You don't have to master it, but we want you to be familiar with all of this stuff. Okay. So that means the student is using Lexia, and that means that you need to ask them to make goals in Lexia, and you need to ask them if they did their Lexia. Okay. That's if you see those little books. If you see a guy talking, that means the parent's preferred language is Spanish, and that means that their Trello board should be in Spanish. If you are not a Spanish speaker, don't worry about this. If you are, we need to make sure that whenever we're adding stuff to the student's Trello board, we need to make sure that the parents can actually read them. Okay, there's a way that the parents can translate the boards, so you'll know who needs to be translated and who doesn't, but that just means that the student's parents preferred language is in Spanish. I'm going to write myself a note really quick right now to let's write this down. I'm going to write that down. Okay, so really, you can still, if a student is an English speaker, you can still write in English on their board. You can cut this out of there when you do this, Anthea, because the parents have a translation. Another reason we love Trello, and you might want to add this to the beginning, Anthea, is that parents, it translates. It has an app where, like the app, I can write something in English that the kids need to do, and it translates it for the parents. So, which is really cool. Okay. But you don't really need to worry about that too much unless the students obviously you won't be working with kids that you don't speak their language. So you don't have to worry too much about it, but that's what that means. Okay. Because Trello already translates. All right. The ear means the student only speaks Spanish. So if a student comes on, you see an ear. They probably won't come with you if they don't speak any English, if you're an English only speaker. So don't worry about that. This little airplane means the students flying under the radar. So these are kids that they're usually in our program because they kind of figure out how to get on and offline without, like, they're really good at kind of tricking you and kind of like they're online and they're not really working and they didn't really make good goals, and they're kind of like they'll hop on and off so that they get they get attendance, and they're hoping nobody notices that they're not doing anything. So if you see an airplane, that means flying under the radar. Okay. And it's just there's nothing you have to do specifically, but other than just be really with that student, make sure that you're really thorough with making sure that they're getting everything done and that you're really tracking what they're doing. Okay. And so that means that when they're like, what we mostly do at IMA is we make goals, we make sure they're doing their goals, and we help them with their homework. We make sure that their goals are correct the way they're making them, so that they don't want to just say do work, do schoolwork. We want to make sure that we can tell if they actually did it. They need to have specific goals. We're going to go over that later. But the main thing you do at Independent Minds, which might be like the first training should be like what we do at Independent Minds, Anthea. So this training makes more sense. Like, we're going to have to make sure that training's done first. Are you still here, Anthea? Okay, good. And then the little writing means this, if you see this little handwriting, it means the student's plagiarizing. Okay. We don't use a plagiarism check typically, and we'll go over that more later, because we just look at the student's work. We can kind of tell when they're plagiarizing. It starts sounding like Wikipedia or something. It doesn't sound like a teenager wrote it. And typically we can tell that way. If we suspect that if they're plagiarizing, we can put it in a checker. You can look up any checker and just kind of throw it in there and see if they're plagiarizing. But these are heads up, like, about certain issues that we have with certain kids. And then they have this on their Trello boards, and a lot of times they don't know what it means. So it's fine. We have a whole nother training about like dealing with plagiarism, so we won't worry about that too much. Part-time IMA students. Okay. When there is a student that has this part-time IMA, what that means is that that student, the parents are not expecting us to be their full school curriculum. They have other things they're doing with offline. The parent a lot of times only wants us to kind of work with them on tutoring or make sure they have their work samples that, once a month we have to do one like portfolio sample a month. If you see a student that has this little half sun, half moon thing, that means that we're not responsible for all of their schoolwork. We just try to get done what we can. And usually that's work samples and tutoring. Okay. The little star means that the student has come so far in the program that they can work offline by themselves. Okay. They don't need to be online. Most of our students, you won't see that star, but sometimes a kid gets to the point where they're like, wow, you're doing great. You don't have to work online. We like to have the kids working online with their screen shared, and we kind of watch them work. And so, that student can work offline if they have the little star there. Okay. We do have some students like that too, which is great. And it's sort of a reward. All right. So that's kind of like what the emojis mean in Trello. I'm going to go back to the Trello board really quick if I can find it. Here it is. And that's pretty much it. Now, there's other boards where we use to track. Like this is the Lexia board. This is what I was telling you about earlier. If a student is an English language learner, these are all of our English language learners. And these are all the sections of Lexia that are doing the English line. I think there's quite a few more actually. So that's down. And say Aliana, this is section 1 of Lexia, section 2, and section this is section 1, section 2, section 3. So how we handle this is that right now, this is like whenever you see a list like this means that this is the one they're on right now. So right now they start out with word study. Okay. This number after their name is how many points they have. Whenever they complete some of Lexia, they get points. Okay. So once Ileana's done with word study, that you'll just move it over to grammar. And when she's done with grammar, she'll move it over to comprehension, and then she's done for the week. Okay. That's kind of how it works. You're going to be we'll show you in other trainings how to check Lexia and other things. Don't worry about that right now, but I'm just showing you the board part of it. Okay. Yes. Hmm. Love it. What is it? Hmm. Hmm. I would say the student progress board. So let's start with, and then you can actually, when you do the training, you should probably start with that, right? And then really we do need to just start with like what we do with the kids and stuff, um, but the student progress board is, this is kind of like the list of what we're trying to work on right now. So this was kind of last year, but see, we were trying to approve their final projects, making sure their teacher folder, and they're in order of importance. Like these are just different tasks, and they're going to be different all the time. When you go on here, we're in charge of figuring out what tasks needs to be done. You don't have to worry about it. But what you can see on this board, this is a good way to start, is you can look, for example, say Moises comes online. Let's look over him. It looks like he is going to, I wanted him to choose a background for his Trello board because he already completed these 3 things. So this means this is the task he's on, right? Now you can tell Joyce didn't get to this task yet, but you can see that Elias didn't even do this yet. There's a few kids that haven't even done task 1 yet. You know what I mean? And then there's kids that are like way over here, that are all over there. So we kind of put them in order of importance. And as soon as this task is done, Elias can go over here. So now we know that when Elias comes on, he's supposed to organize his teacher folder. And we will always we'll always show you how to do that. We always show you how to do everything. So there's nothing you're going to have to do that you're going to come online and it's going to be like, you're not going to know what to do. Like we're going to show you what each of these tasks even mean. Okay. Um, so we'll start out with everybody's on the left, and as kids come online and get one task done, we just keep moving them to the right, and then we can say you can look over here and go, okay, so we've got Teo. Teo's our let's say it's Anna, right? So say I've got Anna comes online, and I'm going to look up Anna, and there's like a ton of them, so it's showing me. So I'm just going to kind of look for the yellow right here. And then I find Anna. Anna's over here, and it looks like her job, we want to work with her on teaching her about MLA format. And Avram also needs to learn that. And then there's a little tutorial a lot of times we'll have little tutorials about how to do it first, like in this first section, right? So like they can watch a little video or something like that, and then they can do it. They're just going to try to put maybe one of their papers in MLA format. Okay. And there'll be a video on how to do it. So this is just their task list, and we're trying to get everybody as far to the right as possible. Okay. Another thing I wanted to mention, Anthea, is that I'm going fast because you'll probably want to go slower, and we can split this up into separate trainings. You know what I mean? Like I do think it would be a good idea to have put it in a PowerPoint and link. This is the student progress board. This is the Lexia board. And have a little video on it. This is what a student board looks like, and have a little video on the student board and what they each represent, because I feel like it gets kind of intense. Like if you keep going and going, it starts getting overwhelming. You know what I mean? So I think many trainings would be a good idea, but these are just all students. These are just all student boards, right? And if you go into the workspaces up here and you go to like the mentor spaces, this is a little bit, you probably won't need to use this too much. Sometimes I'll have like a schedule here. Here's some mentor resources. Um, this is just some, like maybe some videos. This is a student template, but I'll have different, this is always going to vary kind of depending on what we're doing, the mentors. So I wouldn't worry too much about this unless I call your attention to it. Like, for example, one of our mentors has their own board here because she's helping us with the reading program. So I wouldn't, I would like when you introduce the mentor board, we're not using, they'll like, we'll let them know when they need to go on here. You know what I mean? Like that it doesn't, we don't have a ton of stuff on there that they need. Yes. Yes. Let's- Like, good question. I love that question. I'm really glad you asked that because we always want to prioritize whatever the parent or the teacher asks us to work on. So it's always a good idea to look at the student board first. Thank you for helping me like solidify this. But it's always a good idea to look on the student board first, just to make sure that nothing's added there from the teacher. If the teacher wants us to do something, we always want to prioritize that. But if not, it's usually the teacher and not the parent. But either way, the teacher or parent stuff comes first. But if it's not, then you're going to use this board and it's going to go in order. Okay. One of the things I have to talk about too is like some of these students aren't with they are not online as much as other students, so that's the reason why they don't get pushed as far to the right. But we always try to make the most of our time with the students, and how we do that is by prioritizing the time that we spend with them online, and we always do the most important thing first, and usually that's the work samples. The work samples are the same as the portfolio samples that I was talking about. We always want to do those first, right? Okay. So, I mean, this is mostly Trello. I mean, we can go through a few of the other things that are on here. I mean, some of the other slides here I think are okay. I mean, you can talk about, I mean, I think the slides you can like the stuff that I told you is the stuff that I don't think is on the slides as much. But I do think that, and see, I don't even really know how to do the Spanish thing. That's Carmen. So you might want to use these slides to like either do a video yourself on it or ask Carmen. But you always want to talk about when would you need to translate it, into Spanish. I, so, and then, you can use this as like kind of like if you need something, you can look on here, like in the table of contents and click on, I think we need to hyperlink this table of contents so that it goes to the right thing. But I think what we need is an overview before we get into all the details of how to do this and how to do that. We can do little mini videos and embed them in the PowerPoint. I think that's the way to do it. Um, so this is how board looks when you click on it. This is how to track student progress. I think I did it, that would be better by video, like what I just did. We should make a video on this one. I kind of already covered that. Searching I covered. So we didn't go over the Spanish. This is fine. These video, I think these are fine on the Spanish part. Like we don't need a video on that. Attendance. So this is sort of like split up. This is something that you might want to do a video on. Did she show you how to do attendance? Okay, so you can do a video on that. And that can be like a separate video that might be easier to understand by video than by, I mean, it's up to you. If you think this is understandable, students will expect we will track attendance on the calendar board list, but see, we have to explain where that board is. Click the rocket ship next to the lightning. So the rest of this, I feel like is more technical and it's good for us to have it. Um, but we can add it into the training, but I feel like we just kind of need to start from the beginning. But see, for example, how to check an activity board. Did she tell you why we would ever check an activity board? So some of this needs to be added in And I can have Carmen do that in the morning, like add in like why. Why would we do each of these things? You know? Um, and then, I would just get rid of any extra words. Important, like this needs to, like, I need to dumb this way down. It needs to not be this list will consist of important lengthy. It just should be important research. This is where the kid will find stuff that's important. I mean, you know what I mean? But I feel like that's already in the video that this would be, I feel like the little tour, like the general tour should be in a video, like a quick overview of Trello, like the one that I just did. And then you can have some little mini videos on like some of the things that you might need if you need to translate, or some of the things that you might need, like adding attendance. I feel like there needs to be a little video on attendance. Um, and I might have Carmen make some mini videos on this too. So, um, but for the part that I just did and not the other slides, um, can you just do you wanna try script? You know what you can do is you can download the video that I made, right? Upload it to YouTube, upload it to my YouTube account. India can show you how to do that if you're not sure, and then you can get a transcript for it. Okay, good, and once you get the transcript for what I said, then you can use that as sort of a messy, rough draft and move some things around and clarify things, and then we can look at it again. I think I think what I'd like to do is if you can take my video and put it into and just get the transcript for it, and then move it around, and then I wanna see the script before you do any of the rest of that. Yeah. Yeah, and that way we know that, like, I think that's how that I think that's how Trinity did such a good job. I think it's because I remember now, she used to do a couple of them without scripts, and they were, like, not working. Um, but I think you can use my script as a rough draft, and then you can kind of reword things and, like, move it around so that it's in a better, like, order.